Cardano projects seem to be garnering hitherto unseen levels of popularity right now. The fledgling Cardano token markets are going crazy, and publications like Forbes are even mentioning Cardano projects. Even recently dismissive crypto pundits are suddenly pretending to be a part of the Cardano community. This is probably just the very initial stage of a new era for Cardano where everyone wants to sit at our table. Ready? Let's go. We are going to cover Pavia getting some pretty big press from some pretty unexpected places, a new PAB release, how big a difference script compression might make, and the Ardana community call from today. We are undergoing a bit of a renaissance as far as larger crypto space coverage of Cardano and Cardano projects, and even mainstream media coverage of Cardano and Cardano projects. You look at this article here on Coindesk. Coindesk hasn't always been our best friend, hasn't always been Cardano's best friend. We're not like romantically in love with Coindesk and vice versa, specifically vice versa. But here we have an article from Coindesk about Cardano, a Cardano metaverse project called Pavia, almost as if Cardano came into existence yesterday, along with this project, Pavia, which if you watch this channel, you know well. But Coindesk is just posting straight up rows from cnft.io. It looks like just posted a couple rows to convince everyone that the prices are really as high as they're indicating in this article. And then of course they go on to give you all the stats about Pavia, how many land parcels there are, how many have been sold, all of those good things, just as if they're covering an Ethereum project. Can you imagine Cardano and even a Cardano project getting equivalent coverage as if it were an Ethereum project? But this theme isn't limited to just crypto publications. Here we see the Sun from the UK getting in on the action, covering Pavia. They've even got the Ready Player Me avatars up here in the photo. In fact, I think they show up twice in this article. But it's kind of a nice little explainer article, not too long. But this is mainstream. This is mainstream coverage of a Cardano project. You might be saying to yourself, hey, maybe some writer at the Sun loves Cardano and he loves Pavia. That's just one article. This isn't a real theme if it's just one article. But Cardano also showed up in Forbes today. We see this article that you saw in the intro, all about Cardano. And of course, it's focused on what the markets are doing and the big run up in Cardano. But the article also mentions Pavia as a metaverse project in Cardano that's soaring. And of course, you could say the reason we're getting some coverage of a Cardano project here is because of Mark Zuckerberg's move to rebrand Facebook as Meta, and the obvious and very large focus on metaverses there has got everybody talking about metaverses. This is all true. But in the past, we haven't seen a publication or a website the caliber of Forbes covering Cardano projects. If you're in Forbes, you've actually done something. You'll remember last week we saw some coverage on CNN of World Mobile. I think this trend is just going to continue. We'll just see more and more of this. We'll probably see coverage like this of Cardano DeFi projects. We'll see more general coverage of Cardano. We might even see coverage of IOHK and the Cardano Foundation and maybe Charles. He's a very interesting character. I think that would be good fodder for articles like this. But I think 2022 might be a crazy amount of coverage of Cardano as we see it taking market share from these blockchains like Ethereum. Another reason we're seeing so many people taking note of Cardano right now is that news of Cardano's intense development activity compared to their blockchains has obviously spread across social media platforms. I keep seeing that one graph pop up that shows Cardano basically crushing the vast majority of blockchains in terms of development activity, which we within the Cardano ecosystem have always known to be the case. but I think the rest of the crypto space is sort of just waking up to this right now. Here's an example of that. Here is the PAB release from today. We've covered the Plutus application backend, exactly what it does, and its role in the rollout of dApps quite a few times on this channel. But check out all the different developers behind all of the different things the PAB is doing in this release. I mean, this is quite a bit of stuff. You can go to the IOHK GitHub if you want to go through this yourself, but you can see there is an intense amount of development going on in Cardano just in the PAB alone. If you're like me right now, when you think about the Plutus application backend, you think about dApp rollouts. And when you think about dApp rollouts, especially this week, you think about the one word that is on the tip of everyone's tongues, and that is congestion. How will the launch of these monster Cardano dApps, how will it go given the fact that the network hasn't yet been optimized for scalability? We haven't experienced all the block size increases or SIPs 31 through 33. All of these things that are going to take place this year. We don't have Hydra yet. We don't have the side chains up and running to take some of the load. All these things that are going to happen this year haven't happened yet. So you think about congestion, and I think that's a pretty common topic this week with the Sunday Swap rollout. Here's an interesting thread on this topic from Cardano fans. So they point out that the average size of a Plutus script, including a block, is 5,885 bytes. The average size of a simple transaction, say you send ADA back and forth to between two wallets, is 827 bytes. So we have quite a big difference. If a smart contract transaction, a Plutus transaction, is included in a block, it's very, very large compared to an average size transaction. The size of these Plutus transactions is going to be optimized via script compression, which Cardano fans tells us is coming in the February hard fork, and SIP33, which they say is coming in the June hard fork. You'll remember SIP33 we've covered on this channel before. That's the reference script Cardano improvement proposal. That means scripts could be stored on chain and reused in future transactions just by reference to the place on chain where that script is stored. So you wouldn't have to include the entire script in every block where a transaction is using that script. You would just have a reference to where that script is stored on chain. So obviously, serious savings in terms of bytes. As you can see here, you wouldn't have to include all this. You could just include a very short reference to where the script can be found. And then script compression is the very interesting part being discussed here. Cardinal fan says, our estimates are that with SIP33 and script compression, Plutus scripts can be reduced to about 2 kilobytes on average. So we're going from, 5.8 KB down to 2 KB. So this is going to be a pretty significant savings in terms of Plutus script size. Whatever amount of space in each block that the Plutus scripts say involved in the spike in activity we're going to see with the Sunday swap launch this week, whatever that amount is, it looks like it's going to be more than halved, more than cut in half as soon as we have SIP33, these reference scripts, and also script compression. There was also another Ardano community call today. Much like the Liquid community calls, I really enjoy these Ardano community calls, and here's why. I've always felt like when any person in their professional capacity, in whatever business they're in, you can always tell when they talk for any length of time about their industry or business, you can always tell if they actually understand their business, if they actually understand their industry, if they have a passion for their industry. When somebody's just phoning it in and they either don't care about their industry or they don't actually understand it, which is a lot of people. I know a lot of people have, a lot of us end up in jobs at some point in our life. Some people, their entire lives, they end up in jobs they don't care about. They don't want to be in that industry, but they have to make a paycheck. They got bills to pay. We all got bills to pay. And they don't actually like their industry or care about it. And in some cases, don't even really understand it. But when I listen to these Ardana community calls, it's very evident to me that Ryan really understands the role of a stablecoin ecosystem in DeFi, and he's passionate about it. He talks about the Ethereum platforms similar to certain components of what Ardano wants to do that he's used in the past. And you can tell it really comes through that he has a passion for these types of stablecoin ecosystems and just the role of stablecoins in DeFi and sort of his experience with that. You can tell that he's actually native to the crypto industry. He's a crypto native and he is passionate about this whole stablecoin thing. This is exactly what I want to see from somebody running a project in the Cardano ecosystem. So here's what I took away from what Ryan said on the call today. Again, I have no relationship whatsoever with Ardana. I don't talk to them. I have never talked to them. So I could make a mistake. So double check anything I say with Ardana. But here's what I took away from the call. Ryan said Ardana is meant to do the jobs of both Curve and MakerDAO, with another layer being built on top for decentralized, permissionless foreign exchange trading in crypto. So they're going to do the Curve Finance thing, the MakerDAO thing, and they're also going to do Forex in crypto on top of that. Ryan says Cardano was the most fertile ground for building Ardana because the community is the strongest. This makes sense to me. Their plan is for the team to eventually cede control as the protocol transitions to a DAO. I think this is what we're assuming about most of these DeFi projects. He got a question on whether there was any word on Ardana tokens in SundaySwap. He said they're going to keep an eye on how things go in SundaySwap and take their time before they launch their own liquidity pool there. My personal intuition here is that when Ardana wants to launch a liquidity pool in SundaySwap, probably doesn't matter that much since Ardana tokens are already out there trading. They're on like 3 centralized exchanges and they're also on MuesliSwap. So because SundaySwap is a permissionless system, I think someone will probably just hit that create pool button and we'll end up with an Ardana liquidity pool in short time in SundaySwap, unless there's some limitation there. I don't know about. If anybody knows why that wouldn't happen, let me know. But I can only imagine that there's going to be a lot of people hitting that create pool button in SundaySwap, and I think Ardana, just given the trading volumes on MuesliSwap, I haven't looked at the centralized exchange trading volumes on Ardana, but just knowing how much is being traded on MuesliSwap, I have a feeling that there's going to be people hitting that create pool button, regardless of what whether or not Ardana is involved in that. He also got a question about and the question was sort of like, what about Ethereum assets coming over to Cardano? Ryan said tokens will only benefit the Ardana protocol since they will use the Ardana platform. This was specifically, the question was specifically about sort of competitors to Ardana's stablecoin coming over from Ethereum. We all know about the ERC20 converter and the side chains that are in production. And Ryan's basically saying, hey, we're going to have a platform where you can move back and forth between different stablecoins. So if Ethereum stablecoins come over to Cardano, that's only going to benefit our platform as additional assets that our users can move in and out of. Then he got a question. The second part of that question was sort of like, what about other similar platforms, the platforms themselves coming over from Ethereum? What if Curve were to come over? I think Ardana is usually characterized as sort of a combination of Curve and MakerDAO, and then with that Forex piece on top of it. So Ryan said in the past, Curve has come to, or seems to be coming to, EVM ecosystems like Polygon, Phantom, and Avalanche. And there are lots more EVM layer ones for them to expand into. But Ryan doesn't see them coming to an extended unspent transaction output system like Cardano for years. He thinks there's going to be years of expansion by Curve into other EVM base layers, but he thinks it's going to be a while before they move into EUTXO like Cardano. He says by then, Ardana should already be well established and be able to compete very nicely with something like Curve, since protocols are really just vying with each other for liquidity. And I'm obviously paraphrasing all this. These are not exact quotes, so any error is mine. He says they're also contributing to building a ZK rollup L2 on top of Cardano for scalability called Orbis. You've probably seen a little bit of chatter about Orbis recently. So we've talked before on the channel about ZK snarks and about a little bit about Ethereum's strategy to use ZK rollups as their L2 scalability solution. Orbis is sort of that same attempt on top of Cardano for scalability. The great thing about Cardano is anything anyone decides to do in Ethereum, we can also do it in Cardano. We've got Hydra going on, but we can also do ZK rollups as an L2. He says they're targeting thousands of transactions per second with Orbis, and it'll inherit all the security guarantees of the Cardano L1, the layer one, the base layer. He was asked about audits. He said the audit is being done by Platonic Systems and will be released before launch. Ryan gave a really good explanation of why Ardana is going down the on-chain asset-backed road instead of the algorithmic route. So he says that a lot of the algorithmic stablecoins over in the EVM world have not stood the test of time, while on-chain asset-backed protocols like MakerDAO have. I think this is really fantastic for the Cardano, for us, the Cardano community, because we'll have a really interesting algorithmic stablecoin in JED, and we'll have an on-chain asset-backed stablecoin in Ardana's stablecoin, and probably a bunch of others we don't even know about yet. But we'll get to see everything in action. So once again, us, the Cardano ecosystem, end up in a great position with lots of different choices. I hope you are starting out a great week, and I will talk to you tomorrow.